Alright, here we go, Aiden. Down the rabbit hole! I gotta start saying that. Every single time I gotta start saying that because that's what we're doing. We did finish the Snow White rabbit hole. While I was waiting for the last video to upload, I just realized like there's not much left on Snow White. Unfortunately, for anyone who's wondering what happened to Snow White, who was mentioned in the Epstein files. So, just a quick rundown. There is an email that says Snow White was screwed twice tonight. I'm not going to use the actual language, but she was screwed twice tonight after she put the outfit on, and then Jeffrey Epstein does say hi to Snow White. What character do you want next? And that's all in there. Like it may not. I might have gotten mixed up like which parts Jeffrey Epstein said. I don't know. I think he did say all of those, but it might have been somebody else. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head. But all of that was said in the files. With that being said, say hi to Snow White pops up a total of 14 different times, and I have absolutely no idea why, because it does look like it's all the exact same file. It was done on July 7th, July 10th, 2010, and so that's all the ones that I can find is like say hi to Snow White, and it's all of it is on July 10th, 2010. Yeah, I said 2010. So, yeah, it's all that's being exchanged on July 7th, 2010. I have not found anything contradicting that. Well, I did, okay, well, one side is available. That one is a little new. This is after he, Jeffrey Epstein asked Jeff Staley, what character would you like next? Okay, there is something's going on here. However, unfortunately, the bad news is it's not as obvious as people would make it out to seem. So, but it's like all very cryptic and whatnot, and there's not much more to go off of, unfortunately. The one side is available is also exchanged on July 10th, 2010. I'm gonna go a little bit further, see if I can find anything else, but they all pretty much, yeah, a lot of repetition. There's no evidence to show me that there's any difference between the files of these 14 files. I'm not finding anything that indicates that we can get more information. Now, there is one that I just found. It is Government of the United States Virgin Islands plaintiff, JPMorgan Chase Bank, and third-party plaintiff, James Edward Staley. And so these are the plaintiffs. And then action for damages. I don't know why Snow White pops up. Okay, I skipped forward to the Snow White part of this. This is where it gets interesting. For some of it. It looks like it actually is. Oh. You know what? I'm very grateful I went back and I actually typed. I'm very grateful, Aiden, we ain't done with Snow White. We are going down this rabbit hole again. I'm very grateful I put this sentence in, and I decided that I was going to look through all the files of this one specific sentence because someone did have a court case regarding this file. So, there we go. But it's for damages, according to this. Alright, I skipped ahead because if we were to go through the Epstein files, literally all the Epstein files, like we're gonna be doing this every day for the rest of our lives. Like that's pretty much how many Epstein files there are. And what's crazy is like, this is why sometimes when I'm looking through certain files, I'll just open up the file really quick, type into the finder bar what I'm looking for, just to see where it's mentioned. Especially if it's like bigger file. Now, unfortunately, I know it's not always the best way to do it, but it's more than what most people are doing. So, I'm trying to find where I should begin. We're going to go ahead and skip over the banking information. Alright, for the most part. There's a lot of stuff. Alright, I think I'm just going to have a full-on read of this file. This is EFTA 00145666. Holy smokes, man. This is like, be gone evil. So in 2013, this is starting, I'm starting on page 13. In 2013, the year that JPMorgan terminated its relationship with Epstein, JPMorgan flagged in Epstein history that per bank policy, felons like Epstein are considered high risk and require additional approval. JPMorgan's banking relationship with Epstein was known at the highest levels of the bank. For instance, in August 2008, internal email states, "I would count Epstein's assets as a probable outflow for 08, 120 million or so, as I can't imagine it will stay, pending demand review." Head of JPMorgan's private bank had a close personal relationship with Epstein. Former executive Jess Staley developed a close relationship with Epstein when Staley was the head of JPMorgan's private bank, which is a segment of JPMorgan's business dedicated extremely wealthy clients with at least 10 million in assets. So this is the guy that he gave Snow White to. Between 2008 and 2012, Staley exchanged approximately 1,200 emails with Epstein from his JPMorgan email account. These communications show a close personal relationship and a profound friendship between the two men, and even suggest that Staley may have been involved in Epstein's sex trafficking operation. They also reveal that Staley corresponded with Epstein while Epstein was incarcerated and visited Epstein's Virgin Islands residence on multiple occasions. Epstein even advised Staley in connection with Staley's salary negotiations at JPMorgan in July of 2008. On December 30th, 2008, Epstein and Staley discussed via email Staley's visit to Epstein's residence in Palm Beach, Florida. Epstein wrote that he would not be home the following Sunday, but that Staley was welcome to use the house. Staley replied that he would instead make arrangement to visit Epstein in Palm Beach in early January. On January 8th, 2009, around the time of Staley's scheduled visit to Palm Beach, Epstein wired $2,000 from his JPMorgan account to a woman with an Eastern European surname. I think that is Snow White. Here we go. Between August 27th and 29th, in 2009, Staley communicated via email to Epstein that he would be in London in a week. Epstein inquired whether Staley would need anything while in London. Staley replied, "Yep." On August 31st, 2009, Epstein wired $3,000 from his JPMorgan account to the same Eastern European woman Epstein paid in January 2009. Staley sent an email to Epstein on November 1st, 2009, when Epstein was incarcerated, and Staley was presumably visiting Little St. James, saying, "So when all hell breaks loose and the world is crumbling, I will come here and be at peace. Presently, I'm in the hot tub with a glass of white wine. This is an amazing place, truly amazing. Next time, we're here together. I owe you much. I deeply appreciate our friendships. I have few so profound." This keeps getting better and better. On December 4th, 2009, Staley told Epstein via email, "I realize the danger in sending this email, but it was great to be able today to give you in New York City a long, heartfelt hug." Aiden, is it weird that seeing two disgusting people, imagining them hugging each other like that? Because for me, the idea that two people so disgusting could show affection like that grosses me out.
Hey man, they're weird. It's all kind of a weird incestuous family dynamic that they all got going on.
I mean, it seems like it with everything that they talk about. That's what it seems like. I think
I'm not really surprised, especially after seeing like, painted photos that Epstein got on the presidents.
True. Bro. Okay, I just looked up how many times Jeffrey Staley pops up. Jess Staley pops up when I typed in his name into the Epstein files. I've asked you before, I'm going to ask you again. Do you want to take a guess how many times he pops up?
A million plus?
No, not a million plus. I've yet to find anyone who appears a million plus, but he appears 7,894. He appears in 7,894 files. So for anyone who doesn't know, I will repeat this as often as I can because I wasn't very clear in my wording the first few videos I did. And that is, when you see the number of results, that is not the number of times the names are mentioned. That is the amount of time the name is, the amount of files that have the name mentioned in it. So I can open up a file with Jeff Staley's name, and it might be mentioned, like, say, 200 times. And then, I go back to the other 7,893 results, and then, like, all those other files have him mentioned, like, dozens of times and whatnot. So that's how it works. It's not like you put the name in and it's showing, like, every time the name is mentioned. It's like all the files that his name is mentioned in. Going back to the file that ends with the devil's number. Okay. On December 4th, 2009, Staley told Epstein via email, "I realized the danger in sending this email." Oh, I already said that. Heartfelt hug. The next day, Epstein wrote to Staley, "You were with Larry, and I had to put up with blah, blah, blah," and attached a picture of a young woman shown below. It's totally gone. Staley quipped, "Don't tell me a French wine." Epstein replied, "Always thoughts of alcohol." So many things. So many thoughts, and yet so few words. Anyways, on December 20th, 2009, Epstein sent an email to Staley that was blank except for a picture of a young woman, shown below. On January 15th, 2010, Staley emailed Epstein referring to Little St. James, "Arrived at your harbor. Someday we will have to do this together." In July 2010, Staley sent an email to Epstein, "Maybe they're tracking you? That was fun. Say hi to Snow White." Epstein responded, "What character would you like next?" When Staley said Beauty and the Beast, Epstein replied, "Well, one side is available." None of the emails between Epstein and Staley were flagged in connection with risk of Epstein's accounts. Moreover, JPMorgan allowed Staley to remain a decision maker on Epstein's account. JPMorgan even tasked Staley to discuss the human trafficking allegations with Epstein. In July 2013, several months after Staley left JPMorgan to join another financial institution, JPMorgan's compliance officer terminated JPMorgan's relationship with Epstein. At the time of Epstein's death in 2019, Staley was the chief executive officer of Barclays. However, Staley stepped down from the position in November 2021 after British financial regulators concluded an investigation into Staley's characterization of his relationship with Epstein. JPMorgan ignored obvious red flags relating to Epstein's accounts. Despite JPMorgan's claims that they would closely monitor Epstein's account, JPMorgan ignored numerous red flags related to Epstein's account and failed to comply with federal banking regulations. Between 2003 and 2013, Epstein and his associates used Epstein's accounts to make numerous payments to individual women and related companies. Among the recipients of these payments were numerous women with Eastern European surnames who were publicly and internally identified as Epstein recruiters and or victims. For example, Epstein paid more than $600,000 to Jane Doe 1, a woman who, according to news reports contained in JPMorgan's due diligence reports, Epstein purchased at the age of 14. Wait, let me read that again. According to news reports contained in JPMorgan's due diligence reports, Epstein purchased at the age of 14. Like other women who received payments from Epstein, Jane Doe 1 listed Epstein's apartments on 66th Street in New York as her address, which should have been a red flag to JPMorgan. Epstein and or his associates also made significant cash withdrawals and 95 foreign remittances with no known payee. For example, Hyperion Air Inc., the Epstein-controlled company that owned Epstein's private jet, issued over $547,000 in checks payable to cash purportedly for fuel expenses when traveling to foreign countries. Additionally, between January 2012 and June 2013, Hyperion converted more than $120,000 into foreign currency. Many of these cash withdrawals either exceeded the $10,000 reporting threshold or were seemingly structured to avoid triggering the reporting equipment. This is particularly significant since it is well known that Epstein paid his victims in cash. In addition, Epstein and or his representatives appeared to be misusing JPMorgan accounts for Epstein's reported charitable organizations, including the COUQ Foundation and Enhanced Education. Epstein made payments from these accounts with no clear nexus to the organization's charitable purpose. For example, and or his representative used the COUQ Foundation to pay $29,464 to 3 young women, including 2 known victims, and over $20,000 to a company called Phoenix Realty Home Incorporated. I'm sorry, I'm going between Inc. and Incorporated, but anyways. Similarly, Epstein or his representative used Enhanced Education, the fund, to pay $124,000 and $124,000 and $232,000 to blank and $15,000 to blank and blank, a firm owned by Epstein's reportedly prior girlfriend. Maybe Ghislaine? I don't know. Each of these red flags were serious together. They may suggest a pattern of potential legal conflict that prompted action by you. I'm getting a little winded. I am. They're talking about how weird it is that they. Oh, more redacted. Almost a full page on page 18. But yeah, it looks like they're mostly like looking for damages, and they're not like the sex of trafficking is bad, but it's like the whole thing. It opened with like they're taking this guy to court for damages. Has nothing to do with the trafficking. That is interesting. Something else. Is there anything else about? I might be able to find more information on the victims if I put in victim. Like Snow White only appears the one time. So victims there. Oh. Going back to page 8, I shouldn't have skipped over this. I'm glad I did. There's too much to read. This is a 42-page long file. I don't have time to cover the whole thing in one go. Maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. What do you think, Aiden? Do you think I should try and read out this entire 42-page file live one night?
Yeah, that sounds.
All right, we're gonna try. I'm gonna try in the upcoming week, just one day when I got nothing better to do. I'm gonna record this stinking end in the demon number file. We're gonna do it. We're doing it. That's what I'm going with. I'm gonna do a full 42-page reading. We have already done. This is our 3rd video that we're already recording. I can only record 30 minutes at a time using the platform I got with the equipment I have. But we have more interesting information, so I'm just gonna give snippets, and in the future, gonna have to read this. Alright, back on page 8. Many of these women, particularly over Epstein's conviction in 2008, were trafficked from Eastern Europe. As the government explained in its Second Amendment complaint, these women were recruited and in several instances required to marry other Epstein victims in order to maintain their immigration status and their availability to Epstein. As also alleged in the second amended complaint, recruiters and victims were paid in cash or through entities set up by Epstein and or his associates. Many of these companies were shell companies that existed merely for the transfer of money to other accounts or to shelter Epstein's assets from judgment. So this looks like it's more about the damages again. Yeah, okay. Epstein Enterprise continued trafficking and sexually abusing young women and female children until Epstein was arrested by federal law enforcement authorities on July 6, 2019, on federal charges for the sex trafficking of minors. Epstein was found dead on August 10, 2019, while in custody in a federal detention center in New York on charges for sex trafficking crimes. Epstein's reputation as a sex trafficker and abuser of women and girls was well known and well publicized for more than a decade before his death. Between 2005 and 2013, there were numerous press reports that Epstein sexually abused women and girls. On March 2005, there were press reports that Epstein paid a 14-year-old girl in Palm Beach, Florida for a massage and then molested her. Following these allegations, multiple underage girls, many of them high school students, told police that Epstein hired them to give sexual massages. Throughout 2006, when Epstein was arrested in Palm Beach, Florida, for solicitation of a minor, there was extensive press regarding the nature and extent of Epstein's sexual offenses, including the existence of dozens of victims. Now, I will say, I don't think it was national news. I think it was only local news. Because I was not old enough to, know what was going on back in 2006 and across the nation. But my understanding of the Epstein debacle back in 2006 is it did not make national news. It only made local news, and maybe one or two people tried to pick it up from the national news. But that I cannot speak on right now. But based off of what I've heard, that is there was very little national news, and victims are mentioned throughout the file. It's a lot of information about the victims throughout the file. So I'm gonna keep going. In 2008, Epstein pled guilty to sexual offenses in Palm Beach, Florida, including soliciting a minor for prostitution. Epstein was sentenced to 18 months in jail and was required to register as a sex offender. What's interesting for anyone listening, he only had to be in the prison 12 hours out of the day at night. He had work privileges. So he could leave for 12 hours at a time to work. So he only had to come back at night. That was it. He only came back to sleep. Get ready for bed and then sleep. That was pretty much it. Maybe have breakfast there. Which just goes to show you how much our justice system is a joke. It's crazy. In 2009, the non-prosecution agreement between Epstein and the United States became public. Kind of. It revealed allegations that Epstein may have used interstate commerce to induce minors to engage in prostitution and engage in illicit sexual conduct with minors and traffic minors. In 2010, press reports noted allegations that Epstein was involved with Eastern European women in particular, and that a modeling agency he helped fund brought young girls, often from Eastern Europe, to the United States on Epstein's private jets. JPMorgan knew Epstein was a felon, a registered sex offender, and child trafficker. That's the second claim they're making in here. This is page 10. More to talk about. Yeah, I'm going to... Let's see, we're at 23 minutes in. I don't want to... because this is a 42-page long file, and because we've now agreed that I will have to do this, I will have to go ahead and do just a live recording of me reading this particular file. I want to see if there's anything else we can get at the moment. So I am heading back to the files. That was the last one. That is literally the last file that is mentioned, and I am going to go through really quickly and see if there's literally anything different, but so far there's nothing. Now, if anyone's ever gone onto the Epstein files, it doesn't show you too much sometimes. Literally the only thing that pops up when I put in say hi to Snow White is say hi to Snow White in the description. It's not until I get to the very last one, that it's actually a different one. The very first one and the very last one. Those are the only two that are different. And they're all the same, they're all the same email. Delivered on July 10th at 1:45 in the morning. And where's the which one was that? Was that one? That one might be different. July 9th. That was fun. Say hi to Snow White. No, that might be copied and pasted. I don't know. That doesn't make sense. I'm sorry. I'm speculating. I'm like, okay. Say hi to Snow White looks like it appears on an email delivered the day prior, but that makes no sense to me. Like, I don't know. Okay, 23. Go to 79. Oh no, it's okay. They're all delivered. Now it's looking like it was July 9th. Okay. Did they... the text is appearing like either on the 9th or the 10th. Like depending on which one you open. So some of them appear on the 9th, some of them appear on the 10th. What does that mean? Why is it different so many times? He wanted Beauty and the Beast, and only one side was available. Which a lot of people, have you heard the theory behind Beauty and the Beast, why he said only one side would be available?
No, I have not heard that theory yet.
They think that he meant himself. He meant himself as the Beast. Now, let me see if I can find anything else. But now I'm going to be reading that whole 42-page document. This is going to be probably my first time where I've read the entirety of a court document. I've tried in the past, but man, these court proceedings can last for months. You can get... The O.J. Simpson trial, I think, was like 8 months long. It was long. One of the longest ones in the history. Like, I don't know of any that lasted longer than that. Just a freaking long trial. Okay, so depending on which file you open, he's either saying say hi to Snow White on July 9th, 2010 at 8:45 p.m. or he's saying hi, telling him to say hi, and that's so just Staley is saying say hi to Snow White on July 9th, 2010 at 8:45 p.m. Or it's Jeffrey Epstein saying hi to Snow White, I think, on the 10th. Right? Well, here's another one where it's... Maybe they're tracking you? No, it's from Just Staley. Again, say hi to Snow White. Okay, there's some iterations, but most of these files are like the same, so it looks like they are... It's either the 9th or the 10th is what it's listing it as, and it's all, both times it's from Just Staley. So that... Yeah. No idea. And it looks like they shortened the email. No, they didn't shorten it. Never mind. Just have that little confidentiality disclaimer at the bottom. So it's saying like it was so I'm gonna assume it was sent at the earlier time on July 9th, 2010 at 8:45 p.m. Anyways, so this is our third and final video on Snow White, aside from when I'm gonna do the live reading. I don't know when I'm gonna do that live reading, but hope you all having a good night. Peace out.